Hey guys, it's John, and welcome back to The Letter. This is part 6, and we're continuing with Hannah's chapter. Entering the dining hall causes me so much confusion. It is dark. For a moment, I thought the electric work was not up to par. But that clearly is not the case, as every other room is bright with artificial light. Finding the light switch is a monumental task, considering the size and my unfamiliarity with the room. To make matters worse, the darkness grants the room a different atmosphere, eerie and frightening. It takes longer than I thought to find the switch, something that will have to be rectified later on. My skin starts to prickle, and there is the distinct feeling of being watched. It unsettles me and only spurs me on in my search. And when I do open the lights, there is a hiss.
I'll turn the lights down, woman!
Oh no, someone's been drinking. There, at the end of the hall, is my beloved husband with his face in one hand and a glass in the other. His face in one hand. Oh, okay, right, I get it. Perhaps I can let it go if it's only one glass of wine. However, I can feel myself go livid after seeing the toxic green liquid gleam mockingly at me.
Luke, what? Are you drinking absinthe?
That's why it's green. I was about to ask.
You know what the doctor said. Absinthe, Luke.
Oh, the worst thing you could have. It's not, but you know.
Are you actively trying to kill yourself? Because if you are, we can just hit you with a bloody car.
Honeybee, Buttercup, not too loud, please. Besides, it's Lelouch, not too strong. Just hair of the dog that bit me.
That's a colloquialism.
Helps with the hangover, dearest.
Alcohol helps with a hangover. That's what I've heard.
You drank?
Never done it.
When?
Whenever I get hungover, I want to eat a giant hamburger, drink like 8 glasses of water, and take a nap. But that's just me.
This morning, love, don't be mad. I just needed a few drinks, having to deal with those simpletons. And maybe I had one too much. You don't see me whinging about you leaving me to handle them on my own.
I had to attend the photo shoot and interview with Luxury Living. You know that. Let's not make this about me, Luke. This is about you and your drinking problem and...
Oh, I don't know, Hannah, darling.
There we go.
What if my drinking problem, as you like to call it, is linked to you?
Hot tip. Alcoholics do not like the phrase drinking problem. I know from personal experience.
If we think about it that way, this discussion is about you. That was pretty mean of you, leaving me alone to do all the work like that. You can't use the interview as an excuse either, honey. I was informed the moment your little interview was done. So, what was it then, What were you doing?
What's it gonna be? Should I tell the truth or tell a little lie? It's hard to say. I don't know what kind of drunk he is. Is he a violent drunk? Is he just like a hyperactive drunk? It's hard to get a read right now. Let's go for it.
I was talking with Zachary, the photographer for Luxury Living.
Went down. I have no reason to tell lies. It's not like I am guilty of anything. Yeah. But as Luke's expression turns, he makes me feel like I actually am to blame for something. He has a way of making me laid bare with just a look that had really struck me when we first met years ago.
That giant Negro.
Oh.
You were having a secret meeting behind my back and it was with him?
What are you implying?
I'm implying nothing. I'm just worried. You know better than to trust those media types, Buttercup. He must have been really friendly to occupy your time like that. But all he's looking for is his next big headline.
He's a photographer. He doesn't make the headlines.
He's a photographer for an interior design magazine.
Exactly. I forgot about the interior design magazine part. That's a good point.
Doesn't matter. You let one little thing slip, one wrong move, and it'll blow up in the telly in the morning.
This sounds like an autobiographical tip to me. Perhaps this is something that happened to him with his company.
He'll go to his journalist friends to gossip and make a quick quid.
His eyes were the first thing I noticed about him. They were like nature, the grass and the trees, wonderful and breathtaking. Now, as I look at him, they're nothing but the same shade of green as the bloody damn drink in his hand.
He was a perfect gentleman, Luke. I can't say the same for you as of recent.
Ooh.
Excuse me again? We're talking about you, Hannah.
No. I am pretty sure we were talking about you and your drinking problem, Luke, right?
Hangover forgotten during the course of this little spat, the man jumps to his feet and seethes. It looks like he is barely stopping himself from throwing the nearest thing he can find.
Oh, it is not a problem. I can stop whenever I want.
Mm-hmm.
And even if it was, I think you can very well stay out of it, as it only affects my own kidneys or liver or whatever the bloody hell that shite pollutes.
No, it doesn't only affect you, actually.
Whatever aftermath that occurs because of your little chit-chat with the Negro affects the both of us, however.
Look, Luke. Nothing will happen. You have to relax. It was just a friendly chat.
Well, now I think I'm getting jealous. Or I would be if it weren't for this damn headache.
Maybe you should drink more.
Maybe.
Supper is spent in silence with nothing but the occasional sound of silverware. A grand feast has been served. Well, grander than usual anyway, most likely due to Luke's complaints of stress. A platter of native oysters for starters, and whatever the hell that is, with purple sprouting broccoli, lemon, capers, and anchovy sauce for mains. That sounds absolutely terrible. Make me a peanut butter sandwich. Who cares? Get some stir fry. To finish it all off, black tea and golden syrup sponge pudding with custard. What the? Oh, that's ridiculous. But when our appetites are appeased and the plates are cleared away, Luke stands, kisses me goodnight, and leaves me to stare at my half-empty cup. Lonely in the lull of night, I sit in a house too big and too empty, foreign and unwelcoming. Even with its warm tone and homely decor, it feels cold. There's no need for tears, however. I know I can get through this like every other obstacle I've faced before. This is a minor setback in what I hope will be a long and happy life. To remind myself that this place is for Luke and for our future children fills me with a renewed vigor. Besides, it looks like someone is having a cry already. The wailing is far away and muffled. Yet at the same time, it shakes me to my very core as I hear it. As if the suffering is just standing right beside me. Hearing it sends a chill down my spine and makes my skin prickle with goosebumps. Who is that? Curiosity sinks in as I follow the sorrowful sound into the kitchen. Hang on. Interesting that Hannah draws people. That's very cool. And into the wine cellar hatch. We haven't seen down there before.
Hello? Is anybody down there?
I am curious and concerned, but there's no way I'm going down to the dark and humid underground. I'm not as enthusiastic as Luke, who considers himself quite the connoisseur. However, I also cannot bring myself to go to bed with this racket going on. If it is one of the household help, they will surely need some talking. After all, this won't be the first time I've gone and found one of the maids sobbing their eyes out over one thing or another. As professional as our staff are, they are still human. More often than not, it was either Johans or I who'd calm them down, who'd help them figure out how to go on about things. Unfortunately, I'm not in high spirits right now, so I'm not as wholly benevolent. So I will open the freaking hatch! I may not be going down, but there's no point in talking through closed doors, or hatches in this case. The thing refuses to budge at first until there is a soft click, and it easily swings free. As I lift up the hatch and look down to the cellar, a sense of uneasiness washes over me. It isn't just the sudden onset of vertigo and nausea, but also the darkness. It's suffocating. And as I look down, it feels as if it's looking back at me. I worry that something will suddenly pull me into the deep. I can hear her whispering. Calling for me. She wants me. Needs me. She wants to drown me, pull me down, and suffocate me in her embrace until I sink to the bottom. A deep abyss waits, inviting yet foreboding. She's calling to me from in there, isn't she? And I do want to help, I do. But the shadows threaten to creep me out, and a feeling of apprehension keeps me in place. Already, it paints the room in a darker light. There is a lurching sensation, and the feeling that follows after is hard to explain. It feels like I'm watching myself from the sidelines, a spectator to my actions, or lack thereof. I will myself to snap out of this detached feeling, to move, to do anything except stare at myself. And for a moment, I see the look of fear in my own face. I'm back in my body, but the hook in my stomach is no longer the only one. There are hooks everywhere, tearing and pulling at my skin, flesh and bones. They pull at me in every direction, and it hurts. It hurts so much, but I just can't bring myself to scream out.
Help me.
Oh! This is Damn it. Okay. Okay, that's it? So we passed the QTE. You just had to press random letters. That was weird. I wake from a deep slumber. It takes a while with the fog that has settled in my head and with my heavy limbs. But soon enough, I manage to look around. I'm in our bedroom already, although I do not recall going here. Luke slumbers beside me, looking peaceful and angelic. It doesn't matter. I'm safe and I feel better than ever. Tomorrow, better days will come. Well, so that's it, huh? That's it. Luke is already gone by the time I rise. There isn't a single hide nor hair of him to be found, and trying to call him on his mobile is a bust, as it only goes straight to his voicemail. That's twice in a row he's gone on me. And for him to disappear today, of all days, is every bit upsetting because of what's to come. The morning is once again filled with a whirlwind of activity. Fortunately, I am much more refreshed as I took a break from my responsibilities. I haven't the faintest clue where Luke was yesterday. Today is going to be a busy day, although unlike Wednesday, the master of the house isn't here right now, absent once again from his duties. Hopefully he'll be back in time for the party. This is our house after all. A grand housewarming party for the wonderful Wright Mansion. Every person of importance from Luxbourne is invited, and there will be a few guests flying in as well. Of course, there will be some people from the media, along with friends and acquaintances, who are made no less important, regardless of their status in society. Marianne and I discussed business and last-minute touches to the house before finalizing everything. Not that there is much change from our original plans. Bar any huge additions to the property itself, the mansion is nearly 100% complete.
You have certainly exceeded expectations, Marianne. Everything looks so marvelous, and in such a short time, too.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little disappointed that, that horror part was over like that. But oh well.
Well, I can't take all of the credit. People have certainly been enthusiastic about the idea of working on the Wright mansion. There won't be any more problems unless Mr. Wright has any more objections about the second bedroom.
Luke and I had a small tiff about making the second bedroom into a child's playroom, which I insisted is completely practical. In the end, he had to acquiesce. I didn't give him any choice in the matter. I even bought this wonderful wooden crib from the antique store yesterday, including some toys. Just in case anyone brings their baby, of course. Besides, we have little need for actual guest rooms. We hardly have guests who spend the night. If we absolutely have to, we often choose to foot the bill for their visit on one of our hotels instead, always at Luke's own insistence. And on the off chance that we actually let someone stay, the bedroom in the opposite wing is still up to the task.
Oh, no. We proceed with that room as planned. I already agreed to him having his greenhouse and his vineyard and his stables. He may as well let me have this one thing.
No, I did not agree to him having a helipad.
All right, then. Well, do we have any other concerns? Anything we need to put on our agenda before the party commences?
No, I don't think so. Not unless Luke has anything else to say.
Is he around then? It'd be best if we can note down his request right away, considering the scope of his usual ones.
Very neutral way to put it. Around? No. Where is he? Who knows where? I don't.
No, he's not around.
She didn't have to point out the obvious now, did she? After 7 long years, I'd already gotten used to him. I should be by now. Still not, apparently.
But don't you have a party?
I want nothing more than to complain, to whinge about how unfair this is. However, airing out one's dirty laundry is simply taboo among high society. To do so will make you a ripe target for the next dinner party chit-chat. Vultures, the lot of them, really. Or most of them, at least. There are always good ones like Roshelle Lee. But put your trust in the wrong person and you'll find yourself eagerly picked apart.
Yes. But Luke's just being a sweetie, you see. That friend he's visiting, he's having marital problems and he's just trying to cheer him up.
Perhaps I'm being a bit too rash, a bit too hot-headed in divulging details. But I thought myself clever with the plan to dress it up as gossip. Marianne's raised brow made me unsure whether she is interested or not. Although that does make things better if she has no interest and therefore has no hidden intent to utilize whatever I might say to her.
They've been married for a long time and they've hit how do they say it? A rough patch. His wife has a drinking problem and can be very neglectful. The poor thing really does his best to be a good husband. But it's never enough for her. Sometimes I think it's the years. Maybe it's been so long that they've lost that romantic spark. What do you think?
What do I think of the matter, ma'am?
Story updated. Let's look at the branching effect. Interesting. So I posed a question. Oh, no, that's it. Interesting. So I guess depending on our relationship, when I ask, what do you think about it? She can give her opinion or she cannot. Yeah, I guess it's high enough. Interesting.
No, what do you think of my hair? It feels so lifeless and dull today, and that's no good for a party. And I think I'm breaking out into zits.
Oh, heavens no.
Now that you mention it, there is something different.
There better not be something on my face.
Huh. It's weird. I didn't expect it to take that turn.
I wouldn't worry about that. You do look a little paler than usual, ma'am. I apologize if I'm crossing any lines here, but have you been resting properly?
Huh. You'd think I get a bit tanned with how sunny it's been lately. Don't you worry. I feel right as rain and never better. But back to the matter at hand.
You were asking for my personal opinion on the matter, ma'am?
Yes.
Do you want me to be honest, or...
Be honest with me.
Be honest with me, Marianne. I don't need someone to sugarcoat it.
Real talk. That's my achievement. Ooh, it went up. Ooh. I think someone said I can find out how I got certain achievements somewhere. I'll have to look at it later, I guess. We don't have time for that now. Sorry.
I'm not some fragile thing that I'm just going to break down at the slightest thing.
She hesitates, taking a sip of her coffee while I stare into my own cup of tea. The silence stretches on, and I almost believe that she will never answer my question. I suppose that I shouldn't blame her, putting her in a tight spot like this. Her hesitation is understandable, though I loathe to admit it. She simply wants this whole thing to stay professional. But then, she speaks.
If I'm going to be completely honest, I need to ask. This is about you and Mr. Wright, isn't it?
It's my turn to hesitate now. I really didn't expect such a straightforward question. And to get to the heart of the matter, I suppose I'm not as clever as I'd like to think. Or is it really that bad that an outsider can see our little marital troubles? Surely we aren't that obvious, are we? We've put up the act of a perfect couple for years, although it hadn't always been an act. Marianne is just more keen than the average person, of course. It is a necessity to her career, and she's been working so closely with us. Yes, that's it.
Suppose it is. What would you tell me?
Then, I tell you it's none of my business. I tell you that I don't want to meddle. But if the troubled husband with the neglectful wife asked me for my honest opinion, I'd say that he shouldn't base his happiness and his self-worth on someone else. Someone who won't even give him the time of the day. Maybe he should try being independent for a while. See what it's like when he isn't trying to please someone else and doing things for himself. Everyone's supposed to be their own man or woman, right? A bit of breathing room never hurt anyone. That's just my 2 pence worth, of course.
So you're saying they should divorce?
Nothing as drastic as that. If they're afraid that it might lead to just that, then maybe that is what's meant to happen in the first place. We shouldn't let our fear control our lives.
So, separation? or not just separation, but a break?
But it's just a short hiatus is all. Or, couples therapy? Look, I'm really not the best person to ask about relationships. So grain of salt and all that.
She trails off, having said her piece. Wrong piece. And leaves nothing but the smell of coffee and Earl Grey between us. There is a calm, despite the nature of what has just been discussed. To say that her words made me start to think is an understatement. To say that I'm not considering her advice is a lie. And to say that this might just be the calm before the storm is a possibility, okay? Others have had shorter marriages, yes, but plenty have celebrated longer and happier ones as well. My own parents celebrated their choral anniversary before they passed away, okay? But 7 years? 7 years isn't a whole lot in the grand scheme of things. It isn't a whole lot of time to see what and where a relationship can bring us. And at the same time, 7 years, well, it hasn't been entirely made up of unhappy years, has it? It won't last forever. It's not supposed to, anyway. I just dread the thought that it might last for a very long time. I dread the thought that these small spats, these little disagreements, will turn into an all-out resentment. The idea that we will grow to hate each other with every fiber of our being scares me. I can't even pinpoint the exact moment when our blissful union turned sour. We can get through this, right? Story updated. I know that I still do love him, and I feel that there is a part of him that loves me in return. We just need to get our heads together and talk it out. Surely he will see some sense. There is a cough before Marianne clears her throat. I must have been quiet for so long, and I move to apologize when she stands up. We both end up on our feet, unsure how to proceed. Some sort of odd, awkward shuffle occurs as we decide whether to sit back down or not.
I really should handle what's left of the work.
You won't be attending the party? Oh, you really must, Marianne.
I'll try to stay and chat. Maybe grab a few bites and a drink, but I can't be around for the entirety of the event. My apologies. Busy, busy, busy.
You must stay a while. I'd love for you to meet some of my friends, and they're ever so excited to meet you. You need to say hello to the Lees, at least. If it wasn't for them, I'd never even heard of you.
We'll see. So, if I can be excused?
Certainly. You'll have to excuse me as well. I must attend to the party before any early birds arrive. Because, believe me, they will throw a fuss if things aren't ready, even when they're not supposed to be here until an hour later.
The scene outside the parlor, can I please make this new go away? Thank you. Is a great organized mess. Aside from our own household help, we hired the service of the temp agency, which provided staff for Wright Enterprise in the hospitality sector. Actually, hang on a second. Let me check the... I want to check Hannah's profile because I never checked it. Okay. So, right, because we read Isabella's, so I want to read Hannah's. It just makes sense. Okay, so she's 31. She's 5'7". Interesting. She's an heiress. Okay, so she did inherit her fortune. Makes sense. She has a master's in business administration, major in accounting. She likes a bunch of shit. Of the Lux-born upper classes, Hannah is used to living a life of luxury. Absent parents made her crave for attention, though, something she gained from her private tutors and nannies instead. It was never enough, however. She studied hard in order to make her parents proud, going into business so that she could work alongside them. The challenge in her otherwise privileged life was certainly a thrill for her at the very least. She had many suitors, dating different men and women, but it was through work that she met Luke. It was love at first sight for her. Upon her parents' death, Luke proposed to her. He proposed to her upon her parents' death. So when she inherited her fortune, because she's an heiress. That was the move that led to the merging of Wright Enterprise and Evans Incorporated and her subsequent retirement. Wow, can you imagine retiring at the age of 24? Their 7-year marriage is strained, but Hannah tries her best to make it work. And then there's the heart of the ocean in the background. Okay. So they're both wealthy. That kind of answers the question that I had last video. I was wondering if somebody married for money. It seems to me like Luke might have married for money, though. The timing of the proposal seems to imply that, at least. Even our very skilled staff cannot undertake a party of this size on their own. Waiters, busboys, hostesses, and their staff captains move about in droves, carrying crockery and serveware good for several dozen people and then some. I think it's interesting that she retired, but he still works. It makes me think that, like, she doesn't care so much about the money. But he obviously does. He wants more. That's evidenced by his complaints about the helipad. You know, the house isn't big enough. You know, maybe that's why he's still working, even though they're clearly extremely, incredibly rich. Maybe that's why he's still working, is because it's not enough for him. He wants, you know, bigger, better, greater, you know, lives for the both of them. It's interesting. Anyway, chefs and bartenders tail after Johans, looking like scared little children, as he escorts them through the kitchen and into the wine cellar. To peruse the stocks, to select what can be served at the party and what can be used for cooking.
Schnell! We have a lot to do, and I believe we did not hire snails. Snails are for the dishes.
A string quartet readies up to play for the evening, tuning their instruments as they fill the air with idle chatter. Floral decor where thousands fill vases, wreaths, and baskets, while petals are scattered along the driveway up front. An ice sculpture of a reindeer is brought in carefully by a pair. Yeah, as soon as the ice sculpture enters the scene, you know you're just wasting money for style. It is followed by a simple cake, just a 5-tier white chiffon one with white chocolate mousse, fresh berries, and a light dusting of edible gold leaf. Edible gold leaf, everybody. But despite the fact that I told Marianne how I will attend to all of this, I find myself unable to focus or care for any of it. I still have our discussion running in my mind, and looking at all this, I only see Luke everywhere. These are all the grand things that Luke wanted to have for the party. I'd wanted a small, elegant, and simple gathering. I think we're seeing what I just talked about in effect here, with only a select few invited, namely the people that I would actually trust to enter my home. I did not want any bloody politicians or paparazzi in here, no matter how used I am to catering them.
At least be here for your party. Damn it, Luke.
The entire thing screamed Luke Wright, and I can't help but add another question to my growing list of queries. When did I lose myself? It's always about him nowadays, isn't it? What about Hannah Wright? What about Hannah Evans? I used to be my own woman who made her own name, her own career, and her own decisions. Sure, I was already the social butterfly that I still am today, but it wasn't all empty, shallow gossip and sitting pretty. I was also lauded for my knowledge and talent. Finance manager wasn't just handed to me just because my father owned the company. I had insisted that I start at the bottom so I could work my way to the top and prove myself, and I did. Well, but let's not rule out the possibility that maybe even though you worked your way from the bottom, you were promoted based on, you know, your last name. That's the thing. Even when these like super rich people that were born into money, even when they're like, I worked from the bottom, it's always like, yeah, but people knew who you were. It's not like you were just some intern straight out of college working in the mail room or anything like that. Like, they knew who you were. You got on the fast track. Don't act like you didn't. I worked numbers, managed budgets, money and accounts, analyzing the competition and market trends. See, it's great that you did all that work, but again, the idea that you were going to run into a dead end at this job was never a possibility. But that's the scenario for a lot of other people who work these types of office jobs. They reach a dead end where they're not going to get promoted anymore, and then they've got to make a horizontal move to another company where they can get a fresh start and possibly be valued more. But obviously, you didn't have that problem. The fact that you worked from the bottom all the way to the top at one company says a lot about what likely influenced the promotions. It doesn't happen as often today as it used to. A lot of people move around every couple of years. That's how the job market is nowadays. There was the calculation of financial risk, cost reduction opportunities, auditor liaison and public relations, supervision of staff, and, well, I generally had a huge slew of responsibilities. Admittedly, I was already quite the attention seeker even back then, having dedicated most of my youth craving for my parents' approval. Failing that, I turned to others, looked for praise from anyone who would give it, however fleeting it all was. And Luke, oh Luke, the way he looked at me, the way he watched me, and took a genuine interest. He had me disgustingly obsessed since day one, hasn't he? He saw me for me, Hannah Evans, with both my faults and my achievements, and my potential inheritance. The man didn't treat me like some damsel in distress or some prize to be won. I remember the nights before we were married, where we talked about everything and anything, from big things like business, society, and philosophy, to little things such as what we had for breakfast or whether we liked cats or dogs more. We both prefer dogs. Well, that's all you need in a relationship. Nowadays, I'm just Luke Wright's wife. It's mostly my fault, isn't it? They told me that husbands preferred wives who are docile and subordinate. A woman who will always be there for him, yet would never outshine him in all aspects except beauty. A wife needs to be at home and attend to his needs, to have children, and to take care of them in his absence. I don't think he really is on that train of thought, because he's made it pretty clear he doesn't want to have children. They said I have no business working anymore after I was married. I can blame society, but I listened. Before I can fall further into this introspective pit of self-loathing, someone calls for my attention.
The guests have arrived, madam.
And Luke?
Running a bit late, I'm afraid.
Late for his own party. That man, I swear. He's probably looking to make a dramatic entrance, knowing him. Open the doors, then. We mustn't tarry.
Cars line up the driveway, peppering the front of the mansion with vehicles of every kind. Grand tourers, supercars, even the odd high-end muscle car or two, convertibles, grand saloons, and other luxury cars can be seen being parked by valets. Sorry, someone told me in the last video that they actually don't pronounce them as valets in the UK. So I don't know. Like I said, I've seen Downton Abbey. That's all I was basing that on. A handful of cabs drive off, possibly for those who think it's too troublesome to bring their own cars. There are at least 2 different media vans as well. They're all here for what may be considered the biggest event of the year for Luxborn so far. Who knows what we'll plan for the winter holidays?
Welcome everyone. Please make yourselves at home.
Some of the guests idle, enjoying the warm, if not strange sunshine we are experiencing before gloomy skies inevitably return. They greet acquaintances and friends with warm smiles, others less so. From where I stand, I can see the hierarchy of power, the ties that bind these individuals here, whether through convenience or necessity. However, there are also few who are not here to further cement their current place in high society. Such as that young man with his oriental air. He's Asian, so he has an oriental air, really. Ignorant of the looks he receives from women and men alike.
Be careful with Shirley, all right?
Man from the Orient. Or that rose-haired woman talking on her phone while she looks unsure of why she is here exactly. You know, I was wondering, why do I like this chapter so much more than the Isabella chapter? I think I just realized it's because I didn't have to deal with Ash and Rebecca is her name.
Yes, I'm at the party already, Mom.
I almost called her Rose.
I'll say
but
hi to her if I can.
I see Zachary, the photographer, as well. He talks to a few of the other media crew with an air of familiarity.
I was just here a few days ago, yeah. And the inside is huge, but the staff are pretty helpful if you get lost.
Story updated. I'd invited Father Norman, too. Is this the priest that we could have met with? It's the least I can do after he blessed the mansion on my request, aside from my small donation to the church, of course. But the poor man had taken ill and went through a nervous breakdown of some sort the other day. And then there are people like the chief inspector, people who I can never be too sure about, people who stand on the border between being suspicious and being trustworthy. Ah, so he's like Littlefinger, huh?
Thank you for the invite, Anna.
Game of Thrones.
Husband still missing, I see.
I should be saying the same of your darling Roshelle, Lee. The doctors again.
She told me she'll just be in the gardens. Bet she's lying and that she's somewhere around mingling, gossiping with the other ladies.
Yeah. She's lying, isn't it?
It's no offense, but That seems to be all you ladies do at these parties.
Yeah.
And aren't you gossiping right now?
No.
Yes, well, what about Luke?
Shall we make him walk the plank?
Should we file a missing persons report now, or do you want to wait 24 hours?
He's around.
You know, I can tell if someone's bluffing.
This voice really hurts my throat.
Don't tell me, let me guess. He's finally drunken himself to death and not wanting a scandal. You've hidden his body.
Funny joke.
I was wanting to give this housewarming gift to him personally, too.
He almost sounds like the Resident Evil 4 merchant. A little bit. I'll buy it at a high price. That was supposed to be a merging of the two, but I don't think it really worked out.
It's a plate that holds a wine glass so he can stop killing himself with liquid lunches.
Got a selection of great things on sale, stranger.
Looks like it's too late for that.
Nothing like that. Besides, this is a hardly polite conversation.
Oh, relax. I'm just trying to be cheeky to lighten the mood. It's not like I want Luke dead.
It's a strange clarification, but okay.
The man doesn't serve dodgy plonk like the others when I visit, and he pays his respects well enough. I could use a glass of wine or 3, actually. Rochelle's been in a horrid mood. Threw her stilettos at me the other day and almost took an eye out.
Oh, wow,
Not sure
sorry.
if this is how it usually goes, but I blame the pregnancy.
I wouldn't know, would I?
Ooh.
Still no plans for a baby? I guess that's for the best. If it's this bad now, I can't even imagine how bad it'll be when that little baby bump becomes huge.
This guy is horrible. He sucks. God, he's so oversharing. Stop. Have I mentioned how I don't trust him no matter how hard I try to do so? At least he brought a gift, I suppose.
Why don't you just go inside and have some wine, Lee?
Think I will, thanks.
Greetings such as these carry on as the guests continue to trickle in. Whether we have short conversations or merely shake hands and nod heads, I make sure to attend and welcome each of them. As the first hour passes us by, the rest of the stragglers and I adjourn to the ballroom. Any latecomers will have the attention of the porter instead. I have other duties to attend to now. Hosting parties is always the same old song and dance, no matter how big or small it is. You make sure your guests are well fed, have good company, and have them generally enjoy themselves. So when my opening remarks are done, when the band has started to play and the guests have started eating, I find myself wandering around aimlessly unless I am pulled aside. For a while, I stay with a small group and entertain them before excusing myself. And when they're not anymore watching me, I end up watching them. When they don't listen, I do. A local banker is having trouble with his daughter. He wishes to marry her off, but she wants nothing more than to make music. One of our hotel managers worry about the stolen belongings of one of his patrons, a failing in security which should be brought up to higher authority soon. Our mayor, well, his cat died. Then there is that rose-haired woman once again. It's hard not to notice her with her distinctive locks. She also lacks the grace that the other ladies have, though that does not make her any less beautiful. Her stance and the air she exudes instead are strong, and they make her stand out despite her casual attire. Many men have already given her their attention, although each invitation to dance has been turned down. I approach, intrigued, although it is no great mystery what occupies her own attention, with the glances she kept sending towards the boy with the oriental hair. She remains unaware, though, even as I stand beside her, pretending that I am there for a drink.
You would catch his eye a lot better if you wore nicer clothes, don't you think?
Didn't realize the housewarming was going to be this fancy. I would have gone with a nice dress if I knew.
You knew where it was going to be, Becca. What did you expect? You're gonna show up in... whatever.
Oh, you're fine, dearie. It's only really the parvenus, those who climb, that come to these parties all dolled up. Quite the black-haired beauty, isn't he?
The boy comes over, but I do not speak any I do nothing to speak any softer. He merely passes by, and it is a wonder he doesn't hear what I say.
Who, Ash?
You know, you really shouldn't have turned down those offers. If I wasn't married, I'd happily go dancing with those young men. But you said a name, Ash. That's the exquisite lad you've been looking at all this time. I don't know him, and I'm the one hosting this party. That must mean you know each other. Is he your boyfriend then? Because that would explain those rejections.
In all my life, God, I'm sorry, Hannah has some assets. In all my life, I've never seen a face grow red so fast. The shade of her hair did not help as well. This is the most pink I've seen on a person, really.
What? No, that's ridiculous. He isn't my boyfriend.
Such a violent reaction. A simple no would have sufficed.
Hannah, you're such a troll.
Many here would be happy to hear it.
She's trolling her hard.
And I haven't been looking at him.
That's right. You've been staring. Quite heatedly, in fact. Although I'm not sure if you look like you want to kiss him or kill him.
It's more the latter currently.
Just don't go murdering him on my property. I don't want to walk into a room and suddenly find a body there.
Sorry, I keep hitting right mouse button. I don't know why. I waver as I feel the burning of someone's stares. It is chilling, and though I'm used to enduring the gaze of others, this one makes the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. Who could it be? What? It is chilling and... Oh, right, I already read that. My attention is pulled from the girl, and I see a woman staring. Dark-haired and dirty, she looks more like a beggar than a guest, and I have half the mind to call the security at her when her mouth breaks out into a grin. All I hear is her laughing, taunting. Her stare makes my blood run cold. She looks at me like I am nothing but a pig to slaughter for her amusement. It makes my hands shake and I nearly drop my drink. But then, in a blink, she's gone, and the buzz of the party returns.
I'll keep that in mind, but... Are you all right?
Yes, sorry. I just thought I saw something strange. It must be the trick of the light. Anyway, on a right, as you must already know.
Rebecca Gales.
Gales.
The name is familiar, like a fond memory. Achievement unlocked. Reunion. I recall a kind lady, a private tutor who treated me like her own daughter when I was young. She'd even bring me food when there was no need to do so. Usually stovies, which I honestly hadn't been too keen about, though I ate them nonetheless because she brought them for me.
Oh, the professor! And your little Becky!
Professor?
My parents couldn't make it since they're in Scotland right now. And Mom says hi, by the way.
Hi, Mum.
But yeah, that's me. Little Becky. We met once before.
It's interesting how, like, the names change based on who you're playing as.
Yes, oh, I remember you! You were the cutest little thing with glasses! And when we met, you were having boy troubles with this lad called something with an A. What was it again? Aaron, Alan, Adele, Albert, Alexander, Andrew?
Wow. This is a long troll right here. This is dedication. The more I list off names, the more red and the more quiet Becky gets. She starts to look a bit miserable as her body language shows discomfort and stiffness. Perhaps I had triggered a horrid childhood memory. Surely I hadn't been mean when she visited with her mother. I don't quite remember all of it.
Ashton! Ash! That man is that boy! The same one. Oh, goodness me, after all these years! I can see why, though. He's quite dashing.
You don't really need to announce it to everyone within earshot, you know? Keep it down.
I'm so sorry, but it really is cute.
And a tad bit sad.
So, this is a nice party, Miss Wright.
Please, Hannah's fine. We're friends of a sort, aren't we? We must be friends, seeing as I know about your little infatuation, Becky. Don't you worry, dearie. You'll have your happy ending yet.
I'm not too concerned about that, am I? That's not what I'm looking for.
Oh? And what makes you think that? Doesn't everybody want their happy ending?
The idea of happy endings sounds like they're just for fairy tales. And they are, sorta. I don't think you can just sit around, trapped in some tower and hope for the best. If you love them, you have to fight for it, right? You're not just going to sit there and hope that everything will just fix itself on its own. Like everything, you have to work at it. But what do I know?
There is a grimace, although she starts to relax around my presence. How long has it been since we met as children? Certainly a long time. She was tiny back then, if I recall correctly.
I'm sure the daughter of the two greatest professors I've ever known is smart enough to know what she's talking about.
Yeah, she's annoying though.
But have you told him how you feel? And it's been what? 20 years?
17, actually. But no, not yet. He can be a bit dense.
17 years you've liked this kid?
I was hoping that maybe he'd notice on his own and...
No, you can never hope that. You can never hope that. Sorry. Ladies, you can never hope that. From a dude. Sorry.
Well, that won't do. What if you two become husband and wife? He's not to be dense when he's sworn himself to another person.
Like, if it's gonna happen, it'll happen, like, pretty quickly. If you're waiting 17 years, it's not gonna happen.
Why, you might just as well consider leaving before the day's even begun.
There's two types of dudes, okay? When it comes to, like, I don't know, straight guys. I don't know gay guy tropes. But, like, as far as straight guys go, there's, like, two types. There's the dudes that, like, think that every woman they meet is in love with them, or attracted to them, or wants their dick, or whatever. And then there's the guy that's just completely oblivious. A lot of times, they don't want to assume anything, because they, you know, they're like the opposite of the aforementioned dude. And yeah, they're not gonna pick up on, like, really subtle flirting. It's not gonna happen. They don't pick up hints.
If that happens, I'll have to give him a good ear bashing, won't I? Whoever anyone ends up with, it's not going to be a perfect relationship anyway.
Yes, it is.
There's going to be things you'll love and things you'll hate about the other person. We're just humans. It's funny. Here I am, trying to give you advice when you did the very same thing back then. I remember you giving me a makeover when we were still kids. And you were the first I told anyone about my crush.
I do remember now that she mentions it. Did I give her that yellow summer dress? Or the pink blouse and petticoat? She must have kept some of what I said in mind. Feels ridiculous remembering all of that years later, talking about boys and how they go crazy for pretty girls, as if it's some gospel every woman should adhere to. It was so easy to say such things then, with me not knowing any better. Though looking at her now, she must have kept some of what I said in mind. Perhaps I did say something good at that time, enough for her to take it to heart? But all that didn't matter in the moment as I mull over what she just said in my head. What Becky told me is very different from what Marianne told me. There is no time to ponder over that, however, as a hush descends upon the once lively crowd. Is Luke here? The music of strings and the chatter slows to a grinding halt as the doors from the foyer opens. The last of the latecomers should have arrived moments ago, and anyone else this late would simply be too embarrassed to show their face. So this can only be one person, or rather, one man. There's only one man who is audacious enough to arrive at his own party so late.
Good evening, ladies and gents. Enjoying the party? I hope I'm not too late in welcoming you all to the right mansion.
Unlike I, who was raised in the spotlight and simply grew used to its presence, he sought it out every chance he could, even when there was no spotlight that shone. And I'll never put it against him when he smiles like that. He did so quite brilliantly under the scrutiny when he channels his showmanship. You can tell by the way people's eyes light up as he speaks, how they listen, enraptured, even if all he's doing is a simple greeting. Yeah, we got a regular Great Gatsby over here, we get it. A little wave of his hands here, a little smile there, and a bit of swagger. I always tell him that if he is not to be a businessman, he'll do well as an entertainer. Yeah, he could be a YouTuber. Real down-to-earth, relatable guy. I love this side of him, especially when he looks at me, and he beckons me over to humbly share his place. Not a single second is wasted as I excuse myself from Becky's side, and I make my way to Luke's.
Welcome one and all to our humble abode. Tonight, if you have yet to find yourself in your roles, you are our ladies and lords of the court of your king and queen, if you would excuse my presumptuousness. So enjoy the feast that has been laid out for your senses as we only allowed the best to be served. Enjoy the rest of your night, everyone.
There's a round of applause. Cheers, and even some hoots. Guests approach us left and right to shake Luke's hand and greet him personally, praises on their lips. It is because of this that I do not see her. I do not see her until she is dangerously close with fury in her eyes and she's already spitting venom. Johannes restrains her, taking care not to unnecessarily harm the pregnant woman. But that does little to deter her rage, and the man has no choice but to let her go, lest an unborn child is hurt. He got her pregnant, didn't he? Although it might be too late for that, as I see an empty glass of wine in her hand. How much has she imbibed in?
Are you feeling ill, Roshelle? Perhaps you need to sit down and...
No! Shut it, you munter! I ain't talking to you! I'm talking to this scumbag over here! Ugh. You bloody bastard, standing there with your smarmy smile!
She interrupts me, jabbing her finger in my direction before she rounds on Luke. Even as whispers and murmurs break out amongst the guests, all I can focus on is the heat of the moment. Obviously intoxicated, judging by the smell of alcohol on her breath. I'm not ticked off about this little display of hers, at least not yet, but I am absolutely pissed by the fact that she'd endanger her own baby by drinking. Yeah. There is a considerable amount of restraint and grace that I must exercise while I wait for her tantrum to subside. I keep a patient, if tight, smile on my face. Luke's expression, on the other hand, is indecipherable.
Watch your tongue! You're on thin ice, Roshelle. Where's your husband? Who even invited you?
I did.
And I told you with great emphasis not to. Now we have a drunk, hormonal, pregnant woman causing a stir. What is even going on?
I'm just about to ask that exact same thing.
I don't know. But Roshelle, do calm down before you hurt yourself. I can't understand a word you're saying.
Where is that husband of yours? Lee! Collect your wife right now!
Wow. Word choices.
Don't you fucking talk like I'm not here and you're not responsible, you ass!
He had to have gotten her pregnant.
You told me that I should wait for you in the gardens!
Excuse me. What is this nonsense you're going on about?
Crazy talk. That's all it is. Just completely and utterly mad. Has anyone seen the chief inspector?
I am pregnant with your little bastard. You promised me you'll take responsibility.
I just want to say real quick, I started playing this under the impression it was a horror visual novel. And instead I get a soap opera. Oh boy.
God damn it, Luke. I finally got you to talk to me after months of silence, and you do this to me.
And another thing, it's your baby. I feel like I'm on an episode of Maury. Let's find out if he's the father. What?
What do you mean you're pregnant with? Luke, is this true?
Lies and slander, woman! Security! Johannes, take her out of here before she makes an even bigger fool of herself!
No, you do not do this to me. I was so ready to leave my stupid oaf of a husband. I told you to leave that damn wife of yours. Look at her. Does she look like she wants a baby? Does she look like she could take care of a baby?
Fuck you. It is now that Johannes returns with security, along with a concerned-looking Officer Lee. They surround her and move to escort the hysterical woman. Judging by his pale face, he has heard the whole thing, and I feel nothing but pity for the man. Not that I believe Roshelle. Luke will never go so far as to sleep with another woman, right?
I'm so sorry for her behavior. She's been under a lot of stress. And the alcohol. Talking nonsense, that's all it is. You're not allowed to drink because of the baby, Shelley. What are you thinking?
Nothing to see here, people. Move along.
Is there really nothing here but the wranglings of a drunk? Of course they're nothing but the ramblings of a drunk. She's just jealous. Jealous of this wonderful marriage, this happily ever after that I have with my prince.
Take that troll up out of here immediately!
I got an achievement called Cat Fight. So I guess the story, hang on. I'm sorry. I have to look at this. So, weird. So we're here right now. But look at all this that we're missing out on. So how we react to this, I guess it's our relationship with Luke. Is how you like respond to the situation. Huh.
And see to it that she isn't allowed to hear or anywhere we hold any authority in Luxbourne.
To be banned from anything with the right name on it is basically social suicide. We practically own half of Luxbourne, and there isn't a single establishment of repute that isn't under our patronage one way or another. This is mercy. I can do much worse to her. At least this way, she can just move out of the city and never ever return. I have stayed my hand in the face of her grievous fault, her bold-faced lies, when she deserves so much more. I can take away her business, have her factories shut down. It is too easy to ruin her life until she is just nothing. And it is all so tempting. I can only see red. The tension is thick in the air, and the silence that embraces this room is nearly deafening. There are worried and almost tearful glances from some of the guests, yet at the same time I can still hear them whispering. But as long as they hold their tongues and don't interfere, none of those matter to me. Especially when my darling looks at me with a different shine in his eyes. So it's interesting because our relationship with Luke is basically neutral from when we started. Like, it went up a bit earlier, but I made it go down when I told him I was with Zachary. So I guess this is the choice that happens when you've broken even with Luke. And I guess the other two choices that we saw there in the branching tree happen whether you have a positive or negative relationship with him. It almost seems as if he's proud of what I have done, and that spurs me on more than anything.
Everyone, please go back to enjoying the party. Don't let that mess of a woman ruin your night.
Hannah.
You heard her! Strike up the band, maestro, and let us dance like fireflies in the night!
I completely believe Rochelle. I believe her so hard. It takes a bit for the crowd to stir again in the face of all that. But like most problems of the elite, it is brushed under the rug and forgotten in favor of merriment. He offers his hand to me with a small smirk and a bow.
Well, that was a mess, wasn't it? And you handled it magnificently.
It happens. We are very important people, are we not?
Milady, would you like to dance?
With pleasure, my prince.
I don't like how this turned out. No one is going to get in between me and my darling husband. Not Rochelle or any other rich, snooty scrubber. Not some common whore or an ambitious maid. No one is going to get near him in that manner, not while I'm around. And if I have anything to say about it, no one is going to get near him at all. What the hell? The day after proved to be a difficult task. My darling prince is a man of many connections, a man of the people. It's interesting that, like, after that decision there, after that branching path, how she speaks about him is different. Now, it's like, this is like the my prince path. Because now she's addressing him differently in her thoughts. He is always talking to one person or another, and I am always left alone, unable to stay at his side at all times. It is frustrating, but I have to be understanding. Besides, I don't see why he can't just stay at home. The least I can do is to make sure I have his time while he's here, which in of itself isn't as easy as it sounds. Not with that bloody valet of his tailing him around.
Johans, where's my tie? I can't find it anywhere.
Have you looked around your neck? It should be there if it's not on your clothes horse, sir.
There. It should be there. Sorry. It's just... I don't buy it. I don't buy the voice acting. It isn't often that I'm awake this early, at least early enough to find my darling preparing for the day with his valet attending to him. It is an old-fashioned way to go about in the morning. He's able to dress himself after all. But he says that it really makes the day easier for him to have someone else do this tedious task, albeit with a grimace. Though if that manservant of his dislikes the duty so much, I'll gladly do it in his stead.
I've got it, my prince. Come here.
I don't like this path.
Well, someone's up and at them especially early this morning, huh? Here I thought you'd be knackered by all the dancing we did last night at the party. And after that, well...
A saucy little wink and a smile is what he offers me as I draw close to fix his tie. and when the valet reaches out with his perfume, I quickly take it and shoo him aside. This close, his scent fills me with the smell of white flowers, cocoa, cardamom, and almonds. It is intoxicating, and the sight of the two of us in the vanity mirror is picturesque and perfect. Can I help it if I feel a bit resentful that another person gets to do this for Luke every morning when I could have done it myself? No, I can't.
You're dismissed, Shroken. I have this. Go on then. You'll be summoned if you're needed.
There's a curious look, furrowed brows, before any sign that he cares is wiped from his expression.
Very well. If you need me, I'll be somewhere that isn't here.
You could have let the man do his job.
And I say there's no need for him. I can take care of you just fine, my prince. Just where are you off to this morning anyway?
I hate the thought of him leaving me. Feels like an eternity without him here, and this lonely place doesn't feel like a home quite yet. Although the mansion is really growing on me slowly but surely. I want to be at his side, yet he fails to see such an obvious thing.
Business. Where else?
So annoying.
Why can't you just work from home? You can afford to, can't you?
Business needs a firm hand and a personal touch, Buttercup.
I hate the name Buttercup, too.
Besides, I can't stay cooped up forever in here. I'll go mad.
Well, you'll come back home as soon as possible, won't you? It's so awfully lonely here without you, my prince.
I could. I don't see why I should, though. This hasn't been a problem before. You know I'll come home when I come home.
Just get home as soon as you can. For me, won't you?
No promises. It's business after all. I can't just stand up in the middle of the meeting and tell them the wife wants me home.
Then forget those peasants.
He stops and stares, looking perturbed for a moment before shaking his head. Is he feeling ill? That's more reason for him to stay here with me, doesn't it? I'm just being a good wife, worrying about my husband and all.
Be good, dear. And stay safe. There's been all sorts of dodgy characters seen about the property.
What?
I'll be leaving Johans with you, just in case you need anything, and to be on the safe side, okay?
But I don't need a valet. I need you here with me.
I'll be closing a big deal with a pharmaceutical company soon, if things go according to plan. Maybe, after that, I can take a breather for a bit.
No maybes. You have to promise me.
I only need him. Oh, it's just making me so mad.
I'm going to be late, Hannah. The longer this takes, the later I'll get home.
Fine. Shall I see you out?
If that's what you want.
At the front door, his valet waits, ready to accompany him for the rest of the day when he's told to stay and attend to me. I still don't like it. It looks like he doesn't either, but I ignore him in favor of the one who really matters. I hold Luke's hand in mine and give him a deep kiss. It makes my heart flutter as I see the way his eyes close during our moment of passion. Parting for air, I can only smile.
Have a good day, my prince.
Right. Off I go.
I still don't want him to leave. He should just stay. Forever.
If you could let go of my hand, please, Hannah.
It's just so hard to let go when I finally have him in my grasp. This is scary. To watch him enter his car and leave pains me so. It leaves behind an aching, gaping hole like a hunger and a need. I'm not content until he returns.
If it fits you, breakfast is ready in the parlor, madam.
If anything, I'll be in a foul mood until he returns.
Leave and go practice your bloody sodomy elsewhere.
What the fuck?
Peculiar.
When I turn around to hiss at him and to leave, he's already gone, and that suits me just fine. I want to be alone without anyone bothering me. I want to be alone with myself and my thoughts, with only these holes as company. These damned halls which will hold our memories, just he and I. There's no one else I need but my prince. Not some cheeky servant who's just living it up because he's Luke's right-hand man. She's changed. Rubbish like him deserve nothing. He deserves to be thrown and locked in the attic. Without realizing it, my feet have brought me in here. This empty, lifeless room disgusts me. The longer I stare at it, the harder it gets to breathe, as if the walls are moving in on me. Yet at the same time, it pulls me in. I hear a whispering, and curiosity gets the better of me as I look under the bed. There on the far corner, a loose floorboard, getting ready for a QTE. The wood, despite having swelled and warped over the years, is strangely familiar, comforting in its feel. though it's not merely what my hand searches for as I reach for it. It takes quite an effort, but soon I am able to lift it. And inside, underneath the dust and cobwebs, lies a pendant, warm and familiar. And I swear, if I just close my eyes, I can feel it beating in my palm. I feel a thrill, though I also feel like a thief for taking this. But it's mine, so without delay, I hide in our room. In front of the vanity, I see the ways my eyes shine as I remove the clasp of my old necklace and put this new one on. It fits a lot better than the old one. I can feel it as it weighs on my chest.
Right where it belongs.
I got an achievement just now. I didn't see what it said. She looks weird. We're done with chapter 2, guys. Okay. I liked that one more than Isabella. Isabella's chapter was really, really boring. But that ending, I didn't like it. I liked it until like the last 10 minutes of it. Right after that choice where it was like catfight. Anyway, this humming's gonna drive me crazy. I'll see you guys in the next video for the start of Zachary's chapter. See you then. Bye-bye.